What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the brother Aram for once again showing love to the channel with the $10 donation via the PayPal. And I saw your note, and that's another interesting video topic. And I think you have another video topic that was that I saw that I need to look at. So I'll probably take care of both of those videos tomorrow. So much respect to you for showing love to the channel. So I want to get back into this top 10 ABA players list. This is just my list. Your list could be different. You may have different players, or you might have players that I have but in different positions. It's no big deal, you know what I mean? I've also said that as I look more and more into ABA history, my list could change over time. But this is what it is right now. So, brief recap. Number 10, I had Louis Dampierre. At number 9, Jimmy Jones. Number 8, the Roger Brown. Number 7, the Horse, Dan Essel. Number 6, I had the Hawk, Connie Hawkins. And number 5, I had George McGinnis. And number 4, I have the A-Train, Artis Gilmore. Now, of course, I think Artis Gilmore is known a little bit more for being an NBA player. His tenure with the Chicago Bulls and with the San Antonio Spurs, though he did finish his career, I think, with stints with the Bulls and the Celtics, but by that time he was a shell of himself. And then I think after that he played overseas for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, somewhere in that range. But he was his most dominant with the ABA. He was his most dominant with the ABA. As a matter of fact, he is considered the Wilt Chamberlain of the ABA. But as dominant as he was expected to be even more dominant than what he was. He may be the second strongest man, or at least top 3, but probably the second strongest man ever to play in the NBA. His tails, the only person that supersedes him in that era, probably ever, is Wilt Chamberlain. The tales of his strength are legendary. Picking guys up by the scrunch of their shirts and lift them off the ground. I don't know how much he could bench press. I don't know. There's never been a definitive number about that with him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he could bench press up to 500 pounds during his heyday. But he had this small frame at first. He had extraordinary lower body strength and core strength. Which is why I believe that if Artis Gilmore was to guard Shaq, he probably would do very well because of his lower core strength. The same type of strength that Dennis Rodman had, but even greater, Artis Gilmore. But anyway, to look at his resume, he won a championship with the Kentucky Colonels in 1975. He was the ABA Playoffs Most Valuable Player in 1975. He was the ABA Regular Season Most Valuable Player in 1972. He was a 5-time ABA All-Star. He was the 1974 ABA All-Star Game MVP. 5 times All-ABA First Team. 4 times ABA All-Defensive First Team. And he was the ABA Rookie of the Year in 1972. So, of course, he's on the ABA All-Rookie First Team in 1972. And 4 times ABA Rebounding Champion. And he's on the ABA All-Time Team. Now, when you combine his ABA and NBA statistics, he scored 24,941 points for an 18.8 point per game average. He corralled some 16,330 rebounds for a 12.3 career average, and blocked 3,178 shots for a 2.4 blocks per game average. However, his ABA numbers are a lot more impressive. In the ABA, in 420 games, he averaged 22.3 points, 17.1 rebounds, and 3 block shots per game. In the ABA, he shot 55.7% from the floor. In the NBA, a hair under 60%, 59.9% from the floor. And in both leagues combined, 58.2%. He led the ABA in field goal percentage twice, his rookie year and his second year. He led the ABA in minutes twice, 1974 and 1975. He was a workhorse who rarely missed games. There was a stretch between 1971 and 1979 into 1980 where he didn't miss any games. The ABA had 84 games scheduled, the NBA 82. So in 72 he played all 84 games, 73 all 84 games, 74 all 84 games, 1975 all 84 games, 76 all 84 games, 1977, by that time he was playing the NBA, all 82, 78 all 82, 79 all 82. He didn't get hurt and miss any games until the 1979-1980 season. But then after that, he went another 1-2-3 year stretch where he played all 82 games. So he was very, very durable. But the knock on him, and by the way, before I go forward, he led the NBA in field goal percentage 4 consecutive years, 1980-81 through 1983-84, each year shooting well over 60% and shooting 67% from the floor in 1980-81. And until recently, he was the all-time leader in field goal percentage in the NBA, But because of the nature of the game today, where you have centers basically just scoring off of fast break layups and dunks and putbacks and lobs, because of that, now easy as to score today, now you have centers shooting 63, 67, 70% from the floor, having seasons approaching 75, 80% shooting on very little few shot attempts, so that now technically Gilmore is no longer the leader. But in the era where there was actual real resistance towards scoring in the basket, Gilmore, Shaq, Mark West, those players stood out more than others. Artis Gilmore was born in 1949, and he was born in Chipley, Florida. He was one of 10 children, and he attended Ruhlhock High School. Gilmore was 6'5" at age 15. Initially most interested in playing football, Gilmore could not play because his father, who was a fisherman, could not afford the required insurance for him to participate. When public schools were integrated, he attended Chipley High School for 1 week before leaving home to attend Carver High School in Dothan, Alabama, a larger community 35 miles to the north. He graduated from Dothan's Carver's High School in 1967 at 6'10" as a third-team All-American. Gilmore played college ball beginning at Gardner-Webb Junior College in Boiler Springs, North Carolina from 1967 to 1969. Under coach Eddie Holbrook, Gilbert led Gardner-Webb to the NJCAA tournament in 1968 and 69, playing alongside George Adams. Gilmore averaged 22.5 points and 16 rebounds in his 2 seasons. In 1969-1970, Gilmore transferred to Jacksonville University. He led the Jacksonville Dolphins team to a 27-2 record under coach Joe Williams. In the 1970 NCAA tournament, Gilmore led the team to the NCAA championship game where they lost 80-69 to coach John Wooden and the UCLA Bruins. Gilmore scored 19 points with 16 rebounds. They defeated Western Kentucky 109-96, the University of Iowa 104-103, and the University of Kentucky 106-100 to reach the Final Four. The Dolphins defeated defeated St. Bonaventure 91-83 in the semifinals. For the season, Gilmore averaged 26.5 points and 22.2 rebounds per game. And in these individual games, he was monstrous. 30 points, 19 rebounds, 30 points, 17 rebounds, 24 points, 20 rebounds. In the semifinal game, 29 points, 21 rebounds. At Jacksonville University, Gilmore became one of 5 college basketball players ever to average at least 20 points and 20 rebounds over his career at 24.3 points and 22.7 rebounds. Gilmore led the NCAA in rebounding both years at Jacksonville, and his career average of 22.7 rebounds per game is still the highest in NCAA Division I history. Gilmore was drafted by the Kentucky Colonels in the 1971 ABA draft and by the Chicago Bulls in the 1971 NBA draft. ABA teams were interested in keeping Gilmore in the ABA and wanted to ensure he was signed by a team that could afford him. Therefore, he went to Kentucky with the 7th pick and signed a 10-year, $2.5 million contract. That was a lot of money back in 1971. A lot. NBA teams, especially for a rookie, NBA teams knew Gilmore would not sign, so the Bulls strategically used a 7th round pick to secure any possible future rights to Gilmore. He was so immediately dominant that he earned the rare distinction of being selected for both the ABA Rookie of the Year award and the ABA MVP award in 71-72, both over Virginia Squires rookie Julius Erving. Kentucky finished 68-16 after being 44-40 the year before. The following season, Gilmore's strong play continued as he and Dan Issel led the Colonels to a 56-28 record and the 1973 ABA playoffs. Eventually, after beating the Carolina Cougars in a 7-game division final series, Gilmore and the Colonels made it to the ABA finals but lost to the Indiana Pacers in another hard-fought 7-game series. Despite Gilmore averaging 22 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 blocks per game. Over his 5-year ABA career, Gilmore led the ABA 4 times the rebounding average, twice in both field goal percentage and blocks per game, and once in personal fouls. He was named to the All-ABA First Team 5 straight seasons and the All-Defensive Team 4 times. He played in the ABA All-Star Game all 5 years he was in the league, earning the 1974 Games MVP. In 1974-75, Gilmore, alongside teammate Dan Issel, led the Kentucky Colonels to the championship, as Gilmore was very dominant, being the ABA playoffs MVP. In the final game of the series against the Pacers, Gilmore scored 28 points and grabbed 31 rebounds in front of 16,000 fans at Freedom Hall. During his years as an ABA dominator, Gilmore established league records for career block shots in the season, and rebounds in the game, 40. He averaged 22.3 points and 17.7 rebounds, 58.5% shooting, 3.4. Well, we already talked about this. That's his career, I think, with playoff games and regular season games. After the ABA disbanded, Gilmore signed with the, let's go into specifics. The ABA disbanded after the 1976 season. 4 of his teams, the Denver Nuggets, the Pacers, the Nets, and the Spurs, were absorbed into the NBA in the merger. And the remainder, including the Colonels, folded As a result, Gilmore went into the special 1976 NBA dispersal draft and was chosen first overall by the Bulls. And with the Chicago Bulls, and in the NBA in general, he was good. He was really good, but he wasn't as dominant as he was in the ABA. He wasn't as dominant. And some people may look at that as, well, does that mean that the ABA talent was inferior? I don't know about that. I don't think that the ABA's talent was necessarily inferior. I think though the NBA had more talented big men, and I think that the ABA arguably had more talented guard play, possibly if you look at it. But Gilmore wasn't the same player. He was really good. Don't get me wrong, all-star level player. But you know, he became more of a 18.12 rebounds per game guy, 2.5 blocks per game. One thing I remember about Gilmore that was a weakness of his was he had smallish hands. He didn't have good hands for a big man, and because of that, he often fumbled entry passes, turned the ball over, prone to getting stripped. So he did rack up a lot of turnovers oftentimes, and sometimes in the wrong sequences of the game, late in the fourth quarter. But he was a strong physical force, man. I mean, his speciality was physical play, dominance. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hated going against him. Hated it. But one thing about Gilmore was that he was methodical. He paced himself during the game. He didn't go balls to the wall. And because of this, sometimes people criticize him as not having a passion for the game, but he did. That allowed him to play for a very long time in a very difficult position, the center position, which is very physical. Allowed him to play all the way until pretty much almost 1990 in some capacity. But he never won a championship in the NBA. Matter of fact, he never even went to an NBA Finals. And, you know, his NBA career was great, but he was not the force that he was in the ABA. And because of that, I think that's possibly why he was punished to a certain degree as far as when he was inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame, because he retired in 1989, but yet I don't think he was inducted to the Hall of Fame until, 15 years ago? So, and we knew he was a Hall of Fame player, but it is what it is. But just want to give a shout out to one of the great ABA players of all time, Artis Gilmore. Tell me what you guys think.